What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is your review of Black Cake Season 1, Episode 5. So, we left off in the last episode with the bombshell that there is a third child. Now, of course, I knew there was a third child because I read the book. I was just waiting for them to tell us, the people watching the show. So, we find out that there's a third child. So, Covey, aka Eleanor, she starts to explain. She says, listen, that day on the beach, she said, Byron, you were right. You were right. I was going to end it all. She said, after my husband died, he was the love of my life. She said that ache in my heart for the child that I never was able to raise grew bigger and bigger, and I honestly just didn't want to be here no more. And so you're absolutely correct. It wasn't an accident. I was trying to end it. Um, when we got to the hospital and they diagnosed me with the cancer, she said, it seems crazy, but hours before I no longer wanted to be here. But once they told me I was dying, then I wanted to live. She said, it's really weird how that happens, but that's what it was. She said, now, I thought if I could eat healthier, that would help, like that could help. She said, it sounds crazy, but this is what it was. So I started going through the internet, looking for healthy recipes, looking for healthy food, she said, and there she was. She said, I always wondered, would I ever know her? Would I ever recognize her? Would I ever identify my child? But I absolutely did. I absolutely knew who this woman was. She said she had the birthmark. I recognized the voice. She said, and of all places, she was a food guru. She was this person out here that was an expert on ethnic foods, right? So then we cut to Margie. That's the baby. Well, she baby. She's a grown woman, and we see her doing a television show where she is speaking about her book that she wrote on ethnic foods, and she talked about basically the misappropriation of recipes of foods or whatever that these countries don't have a right to claim. For example, they were talking about Italy with coffee. She was like, the coffee bean does not naturally grow in Italy. So how can Italy claim to be an expert on coffee when a lot of these coffee beans came from other countries, i.e. Ethiopia, so forth and so on. And it was like a round table. There was a black woman there, and there was a white guy there who's a restaurateur in America. And they sort of challenged her a little bit, and especially the black woman. She was like, so basically what you're saying is that these people don't get a right to claim, because she talked about the black cake, and she said, black cake evolved from pudding, and she said the pudding from London. She said, and the main ingredient is cane sugar, which again is not indigenous to the Caribbean. So how can the Caribbean claim ownership of black cake when that recipe, when the ingredients to make it are not indigenous? But the lady was like, okay, but the recipe is like, you don't get to discredit the recipe just because the ingredients are not indigenous to the Caribbean. The people of the Caribbean created this recipe, made it their own. It's theirs. And it's really funny because when I was reading the book, I had a different interpretation than the direction that they're going in with the show. And we'll talk about it. And it turned into a whole viral moment. Y'all know how social media is. And she basically was being blasted. She was being seen as a Karen. That, how's this white woman going to come in here and tell black folk what they can and can't take credit for? And she was like, that's not what I was doing. And she was just really frustrated by that. We see that she goes home. We see that she grew up, in London with a white mom and a white dad, and she 100% believes that she is a white woman. She has no idea that she was adopted. She has no idea that her ancestry is mixed with colored folk. So we see her interact with her family. We see her talking to her son. Her son is over it. Her son wants to drop out of high school. He wants to go back to Rome because that's where they were living. Since his mom's career has blown up with her writing this book, he basically is at school. I guess he's at a boarding school, And he said, I don't fit in with them. He said, I want to go back to Rome. That's where my friends are. That's where, that's where I want to be. And I'm old enough to make my own decisions, and I'm not going back. I'm not going to university. So I don't really need to graduate from high school because that's not what I want to do. And she said exactly what she was supposed to say. She said, look, bro, like, I get it. Your daddy died. You're in boarding school. I did take you away from your family, but I did the best that I could with what I had. I was a single mom trying to make it work. And I get it that I'm not there for all your recitals and everything, but I'm out here trying to make a good living for you. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to go back to school. You're going to graduate, and you're going to go to university. And once you go to university, if you want to drop out, if you want to go, because he said he might want to travel the world, you can do all of that when you get done with university. Now, that's what she was supposed to say. I ain't saying that's what's going to happen. But she wasn't supposed to be like, okay. So the guy from the show actually invited her out on a date. So they go out on a date. And she's excited, but you can tell she's excited or whatever. But again, her first, and they're having a good time. They're talking. And she told him, she was like, look, ain't nobody trying to be no Karen out in these streets. He said, listen, the news cycle, people's memories are short. Let it run its course. It'll go a couple of news cycles. You'll be all right. He was like, so what are you trying to do now? She said, well, I'm going to write another book, He said, you selling yourself short. He said, you really need your own show. Like, you are very talented. You're beautiful. You're charismatic, blah, 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 blah. And you really need to be on TV. So she gets a phone call while they're at dinner. And she's like, oh, this might be about my book tour. Let me take the call. Well, baby, it's Mr. Mitch. And it is Mr. Mitch to drop that bomb on her about her mama. Now, baby girl didn't even know she was adopted, much less that the mama that gave her up for adoption has now died but wants to reach out to her from beyond the grave. It was just a whole lot to take in on a date. But she tells him, like, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. You got the wrong person. He said, no, I got the right person. And he starts, reading off her whole bio. And I guess she was like, damn, he know my mama, my daddy, my cousin, my uncle, my sister. I guess so. He said, listen, I'll email you some information and you let me know whether you want to move forward. Like, I do have some instructions for you. I have some things that she wanted me to share with you. But you let me know what it is that you want to do. I'm going to send it to you. So, baby, we see her really kind of struggling with it, right? We see her looking in the mirror. Now she's touching her hair. She looking all at her features. And I guess she like, damn, like, all these years I thought this was this and this was that and this wasn't this. And I'm now reevaluating my whole entire being, right? So we see her roll up on her parents. And she confronts them. She's like, tell me again about the day I was born. And her mother's credit, she didn't make up no elaborate story about, oh, it was 20 hours of labor. She said, I remember them putting you in my arms. I remember you were crying and you stopped crying like you were in the right place. I remember you, grabbing my little finger. So to her credit, now, maybe in the past she had made up a whole elaborate story, but in that moment, she didn't make up no elaborate story about the birth. She said, a solicitor from the States reached out to me tonight and told me about my adopted mother. Well, baby, the jig was up, and her parents was sitting there. She said, oh, so it's true. She said, so wait a minute. You done had me maneuvering my whole life like a white woman, and at no point in time did it occur to any of y'all to tell me that I might have some other things going on here. She was like, literally, you told me that I got my hair color and all these other things from my Sicilian auntie, who I only found one picture of and really didn't see much of a resemblance. You saw me getting my ass drugged today. They was calling me a whole Karen, like I don't have a right to speak on things of the Caribbean when you knew I was Caribbean. At least 50%. She said I was born. When she opened up that picture and saw Eleanor, baby, her face was like, oh shit. Not only am I adopted, I'm black. Well, Caribbean, So, she tells her parents, listen, we leaving in the morning. We out. We going back to Rome in the morning. And, of course, her parents was like, don't leave mad. Like, let's talk about this. She was like, nah, we good. So, she goes to wake her son up. And I felt like she was getting ready to tell her son, you know what, we're going back to Rome. You right. I'm taking you out of that school. We going to move back to Rome, and I'm going to let you be around your friends again. My bad. But, she just kind of needed a hug, and he gave her that. He gave her that comfort that she needed, right? So while all of this is going on in London, back over here in the States, Byron is like, listen, I'm sick of this. Okay. Now we got a whole nother system we don't know nothing about. Because Mr. Mitch was like, look, I reached out to her. We just got to wait for her. And Byron was like, wait for her to do what? She said, come on, let's listen. Go on. We know about her. Let's go on and listen to the rest of these tapes. And Mr. Mitch was like, no, that's not how your mama set this up. We have to wait for your sister to decide whether she wants to be a part of this or not. If she chooses not, I guess he got a set of instructions for yes and a set of instructions for no. But right now they're in a holding pattern. And Byron was like, you know what? I really don't give a damn about what my mama wanted. Because at this point, she was ready to leave this earth and not even say goodbye to me, number one. Number two, she been lying to everybody. She done left a whole mess because she wanted to clear her conscience. At this point, I'm over it and I'm over all of this. He was like, I'm going to call her myself. And Benny was like, look, don't do that. Now, Benny, I wasn't crazy about how Benny took all of this and made it about her. Because Benny was like, so all these years, I felt like I was just, I never understood why I couldn't live up to what my parents, my expectation. Now I realize that she was always just comparing me to the daughter that she didn't know. I disagree. Now, I can't speak for Benny and how Benny felt, nor can I speak for Eleanor. But I feel like any parent will be disappointed in a child that dropped out of dropped out of college, dropped out of culinary school, decided to be an artist, came home with a girlfriend after us not knowing anything about, you didn't even give us an opportunity to get to know the girlfriend, because that turned into a whole fight about you dropping out of culinary school. Like, again, I can't speak to Benny's whole life, but based on what we know, I don't know if that was fair to say, oh, the reason why they gave me such a hard time is because I couldn't live up to my mom's ghost that she had developed in her head of the perfect child. I don't know. That, again, I can't tell Benny how to feel, child, because, again, when we do the whole thing, the whole Benny situation, we're going to get back. So Byron is pissed, and Byron decides that he going to Google. And he watches videos online. He's Googling her, and he realizes that she thinks she white. Like, she living her life like a whole white woman. She don't know she's not white. And so Benny was like, so then Benny's girlfriend came back by the house, and she apologized. She said, listen, I was wrong for throwing your parents at you. I was wrong. She said, but I just hate, because I know you are such a great person. You're so talented. And I know that it was wrong that they passed you over for that promotion. And it really bothered me that you don't want to fight. Like, it really, really bothered me. He said, well, I want to apologize too. He was like, my fuse is a little short these days. So he goes and tells her about everything that happened with the third child and everything. And she says, maybe this daughter is a product of the assault. And Byron was like, I don't even want to think about that. Like, I can't even take that in right now. She was like, I'm just saying that might be what it is. So then he gets a call from work. And she was like, you ain't got to take that call. You were on leave. Like, you were on family leave. Like, they ain't even supposed to be calling you. He takes the call, and they asked him to sit in on a panel the next day on diversity. So he agrees to do it. He puts on his worker voice and all of that, and he agrees to do it. And of course, this pisses her off. She was like, she was like, let me guess. They want you to do a panel on diversity, because she could hear part of the conversation. She was like, I don't believe this. She was like, I can't believe that you are not. She said, when I first met you, you wanted to make a difference. You wanted, you understood that there weren't a lot of people that looked like you in this field, and you really wanted to make a difference. And he was like, look, I'm not understanding what you want from me. He was like, right now, I really can't afford to lose my job. Like, I got too much going on, and honestly, I can't fight racism for everybody. Like, I can't fight the whole industry, the whole science world. Like, I don't know what you want from me. And she was like, look. And she alluded to something that I think we're going to find out later on. She was like, look, I just had so much going on, and I'm just so stressed right now. I really can't deal with this. She said, listen, I love you. I really do. She said, but love is not enough. I need to be able to respect you. Baby, and she leaves him, and he was like, damn, like, you going to let a diversity panel come in between us? And she was like, yeah, no, it's deeper than that. And so she leaves Benny, which of course, I mean Byron, which of course, you know, he is really confusion. Cause I don't think he really truly understands why she left or why it's bothering her so much. So then on the other side, we got Benny. Steve been blowing Benny's phone up because he really wants to sell this sculpture. So Benny says, listen, fine. I guess we can go ahead and sell it. No problem. She said, but I really want to see it one last time. He said, no problem. I'm on my way out right now. But, you know, she said, well, I still got my key. I'll just come through. No problem. He was like, okay, cool. And then maybe we can pop a bottle of champagne to celebrate. She was like, sure. I knew then that Benny was going to destroy that sculpture. I said, Benny is going to go over to that man's house and tear that sculpture up, which is exactly what she did. Benny tore that sculpture up. But you know, as soon as she got done with the sculpture, he come pulling up. Now, Benny had time to call Byron and tell Byron that she was at Steve's house, that she told that you know, he was like, the man that beat your ass, what are you doing over there? She said, it's a long story. I'm going to handle it. But, of course, Byron being the brother that he is and telling her that, you know, had he known he would have been there, he tears the whole LA County up to get from his house to Steve's house. But while this is going on, Steve, he comes in the house or whatever. Now, listen, I'm going to just go ahead and tell y'all the truth. I thought Benny was about to get her ass beat again. So I sort of fast forwarded through this because I didn't really want to see that happen. So when I stopped the fast forward, he was begging Benny not to leave him. And he was telling Benny, look, I'm a mess right now. My life is a mess. So I feel like maybe he is in some trouble and he's desperate to sell that piece. I don't know. But he didn't beat her, okay? Because I was like, I just can't see it. It's been a rough week. I was like, I just can't see that, okay? But he does do what a lot of abusers do, and he manipulated her, talking about some, don't leave me. You're right. I was wrong. I treated you like shit. I did this. I did that. But I can't lose you right now. I can't lose you. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do if you leave me. I don't know if I could go on. And basically manipulating her, right? And as Byron pulls up, he sees Benny and Steve talking, and Byron is like, yo, what are you doing? And he was like, we're just talking. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. He was like, wait a minute. He was like, nah, you mean just talking? Like when you beat her to the point where she couldn't even go to her own father's funeral? Yeah, nah, bruh. So then, of course, here goes Steve. He started talking his shit. He's talking about something, wait a minute. He's like, you wasn't even speaking to her. Where were you? What kind of brother were you? Where were you when she couldn't make her rent? Where were you when she needed somebody to talk to? He was like, you ain't no real brother. What he say that to Byron for? Byron got a lot on him. So Byron proceeds to beat Steve's ass. Now, I don't know what kind of neighborhood Steve live in, but the police were there in 0.2 seconds. And not only were the police there in 0.2 seconds, it was about 10 cars. I mean, it wasn't like it was a long argument. It literally was like three exchanges of sentences, and then Byron started whooping Steve's ass. But neither here nor there. All 20 of them cop cars pulled up, and that is where it ended, with Benny with his hands up in the air. I guess getting ready to get arrested. Anyway, so that was the episode. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.